Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairil mursaleen. Muhammadin al-Nabi al-Ummi. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Yaqulu Allahu ta'ala fil Quran al-Kareem. Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu. Sallu alayhi wa sallimu tasliman. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad. I almost didn't know who you were. Okay. This is a unique talk today, there's no doubt about it. It will be surprising to most of us, but in a way, we will be able to sew this into a nice schematic collage of historical reality. So this is the presentation, and it's called Anticipation and Expectation number 2. I want to just briefly go over some of the early history. Brief early history, we're there in Oakland just going to work with a guy in the pen at 20 years old, and we got a good, what they call a good job, you know, working in a factory, like, you know, and making what in those days was reasonable salary, especially you young, and you're even 20 years old, no way, and you're not married, you're still staying at home, and it's fine because everybody else done left home. If you're the youngest, everybody done left, so you ain't going nowhere because you got the whole spot by yourself. So you got it, it's a burden that's on the ground as far as you're concerned. So anyway, then we're nice young guys, you know, lifting weights, doing a little boxing. And the system may consider it kind of like gang activity. By the time 66 rolled around, this is 65, going into 66. By the time 66 rolled around, the Black Panther Party had started downtown. I mean, down in West Oakland, on the other side of town. Or North Oakland, whichever one you want to call it. Then that environment of the 60s, the mid-60s, is powerful. And you have to realize where we're living. We're living in the cornerstone of America at that time. San Francisco on one side. Greatest song in 66, if you go to San Francisco, I don't know if y'all ever heard that, Wear Some Flowers in Your Hair.
Yeah, we played it a couple
Yeah.
times.
There's going to be some beautiful people there, gentle people there. There's white kids. They don't want to bother nobody. They don't want to be bothered anymore with that historical stuff their parents is doing. And one of the big cornerstones is they're non-racist. They're what you might call the hippies. You know what I mean? They're just free love, you know, love conquers all, drop a little acid, you know. Well, drop a little acid is what the white folks put on them. Ollie Stanley was big. See, LSD didn't become illegal till 1966. The only ones that experimented with LSD was the U.S. Army. In 1961, they got people jumping out of buildings and stuff like that. They know what acid to do, okay? Long story short, you go across the bay and you reach Oakland. Oakland is now a black city. Oakland is a center everywhere you look. It was Oakland. For a small place, Oakland, why is something? It just was uniquely located in the whole scheme of things during that time. Then you go right next door to Berkeley. 64, the free speech movement, Mario Savio, and all the radical white kids coming out of Berkeley. You got to remember the Bay Area, and it's not a big place either. Just imagine, San Francisco, go across the bay to Oakland, then go next door to Berkeley. You got the whole 1960s rolled up into one. The dreams of the white kids, right? If you go to San Francisco, the signal, the sign is wear some flowers in your hair. Can you imagine? This is like what they're coming from. Their songs, everything, say that. The Negro in Oakland migrated from the South, and our parents were very Southern. But us, we was all 1960s. One Negro can whoop 5 white boys without even trying. This is just the way we thought. And it had some reality to it, from those days. Okay. Then next door, the one challenging the system from the white class. This is an organized challenge now. It's not, we want to go build a commune in the woods, we just want to be happy. Berkeley is a legal, a psychological, and an ethical challenge, right? From those white kids to the system. And when I went to jail, that People Park demonstration, Lawrence was one of the white police that was beating them white kids to death. But he was fine with me. The police, the sheriff, like when you're doing a little time for stuff like that, you get to know all of these guys. And you read the newspaper, you say, oh, Lawrence, he is beating them white kids out there. But with us, it was fine. Why? Because we wasn't a challenge yet to the system, but the white kids, they were, hey, we done worked hard for this. We done put this thing in place, and we're not gonna let you snotty-nosed brats blow this whole thing. Have y'all ever saw the killing at Kent State? The white boy laying out on the ground and the white girl, just, they were just shocked. That means that, hey, we're not putting up with you guys. Like the white kids told us after that, some of them, they said, you guys got a big fight coming. In other words, we clipping off our hair, some of them. Some of them went underground and became more radical, but most of them took that hair off and got their suit and ties and joined that back up. They said, look what they'll see, because then it wasn't real. It wasn't, we just, little tear gas run up and down the street. It's like a party almost. Well, it's the thing, it's the happening. There's something happened here, things ain't exactly clear. Gun with a man over there, man with a gun over there, all of that. That's the music. It's a happening. When they saw that boy laying out, dead, 4 dead in Ohio. Oh, wait a minute. 4 white kids shot dead in Ohio, Kent State? Oh, no, what's going on here? I got to pick up the pace because it's easy to get stuck, so bear with me. Okay, the police come by and they said, so they influenced me to get dealing drugs. My best friend, start dealing drugs, because we don't want any more little black leaders around. Especially, I just come from the pen and that black consciousness, that Nation of Islam stuff, black man is God, white man is the devil. They didn't want that to spread around. And everybody knew me in East Oakland as a Muslim. Man, Big Hank left. And they didn't know what was wrong with me. They said, man, it can't hard to be around him. He don't drink no more. When I left, before we was partying, before we started partying, we used to call it guzzling. Guzzling is you learn how to drink wine, that you can open your throat and it'll go down, glug, 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 glug. Y'all never heard it? Okay. White port lemon juice, you never heard of that stuff. White port, okay. Do you remember the movie Panther? Anybody remember? Do you remember the Negro with a rag around his head is pouring a little bit out of the wine bottle? And then they're on the basketball court, then he's pouring something down in it. That's lemon juice. We used to call it WPLJ, white port lemon juice. So we used to take that cheap wine and put a little can of lemon juice in it for some reason. Anyway, when we went out and partied, when I left in '62, shoot, the way we get started at night was take a fifth of wine, glug, 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 and you had to kill it all. You didn't stop drinking a sip. It's called guzzling. You know, you open your throat, you can actually do it. Some people could guzzle a half a gallon. Glug, 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 glug. I was pretty good. I could guzzle a fifth easy and could just about knock over, you know. So that's how we got started partying. You know, on Friday night, you know. Now I come back from the penitentiary, I don't eat no pork. This is unbelievable. Not only I don't eat no pork, I don't eat no meat. I don't drink no wine, I don't drink nothing. I don't even smoke cigarettes. So people thinking I became a monk or something, they didn't. They knew what it was about. Anyway, but the police saw it as, this is a bad, if everybody in the neighborhood know this guy, this is a bad sign for us. And if rebellion is coming, it's even worse if you don't have bad habits. If people, and a lot of people around him was adopting them habits, man, I'm gonna try not to eat no meat, see what happens. I don't believe I'll live, I think I'll die. I know I'll die, but I'm gonna try it anyway. No poking beans either. Man, what's beans without poke, you know, and it was serious. So anyway, the way, you gotta look at the way boss man is thinking. So, he was gonna divert me, and he did. I told you how they did it. They diverted me into selling marijuana. And I was a good businessman, so I got big. Then, even bigger. And my friends all worked on a job, so I was by myself all day, just making money, riding around each corner, you know. And actually, I wanted my friends to be free too. Right, you know what I mean? That's technically the reason that I started that East Oakland Enterprises, that being a black economic enterprise zone. So I wouldn't have to be by myself. I could, one day one of my friends worked at Sherman-Williams Paint Company, and he just was off that day and we was riding, I had him riding, we went over to San Francisco, then we went down to San Mateo, whatever, over the Three Bridges ride. You go Bay Bridge, then there's another San Rafael Bridge. And then you gotta go across the Golden Gate, went through Sausalito. You know, it used to be an artist community, white folks on the side of the hill. I don't know what the heck it is now, it's just went crazy. But anyway, so he asked me, do you do this all the time? And I thought about it, yeah, this is my lifestyle. I do this, I go all over, I just do this all the time. This is what I do. And he went to work every day. So he got off Saturday, and Saturday they cut the grass, they do something. And Sunday they just rest, watch football, whatever they did. It wasn't, you know what I mean? They said, and that was happening all the time. I had another friend, and it got late at night, we stopped at the restaurant, and he was just one of my friends, you know, and I just said, no, get what you want to, and went to my old restaurant all night, probably Denny's or something like that. And he asked me the same question. because it's late at night, you know what I mean? And they had to go to bed so they could get up and go to work. You do this, same question, do you do this all the time? I said, yeah, I do this all the time. Get what I need all day, and, you know, get money mainly, you know what I mean? And so your time is your time. And you gotta imagine that at that period, that's rare. Where you have your own time to do what you want, and it's paying for itself very well because you're driving brand new cars, so it's all right. That was the reason we started East Oakland Enterprises. Now, I'm gonna skip ahead. Here come the mean old white man. He don't like that. So he's gonna take you to jail all the time, on and off and on and off. And we got really organized in Oakland. So this mean old white man is actually gonna take our empire away. You know, this is, you know, basically, you know, when you get to be a big Negro, this is my town. You know, well, that's, you know, that was just a feeling that, you know, this is my town. You know, what are you talking about? And then he has that authority, and he begins to bear down on you 10 times as much as the Black Panther Party. At the same time, the Black Panther Party is having a lot of trouble. Anyway, we lead a country. When we lead a country, we go to Africa, we really, it's an eye-opener. It's just a big eye-opener. You have a good idea, but you start becoming international. And like Dr. John Branyan said, he said, you know, Hank, that we're getting the whole education of Africa just by doing what we was doing. And plus he spoke French. When he was in Algeria, I used to look at him and say, Doc, how you, because he would be my interpreter most. You know, Dr. John Branyan, y'all saw his name.
Yeah.
He was with his friends with Johnson Publications and all that. The Negroes of that era. Yeah, he was at he's the first big Negro doctor, and you look at his name, he was chief resident in Chicago, you know, he was big for them. Because he killed his wife, you know, that's what he said he didn't do it, of course. Somebody said they even had a program on that, I don't know, I never saw it, that there was some program. Anyway, Doc was really educated. But Doc didn't have no gangster game. He was just educated, you know what I mean? I remember we was at the Cairo Hilton when we was going from Algeria to Tanzania, and I was telling him, Doc, I remember clear, I said, when we get to Tanzania, we're gonna get organized. And once you get organized, you begin to, like a planet that holds gravity, and the way things revolve around the planet is we get organized where we're going, everything is gonna begin to revolve around us. And he looked at me, he said, you don't even have a PhD. He was thinking, this nigga was talking about using real visual about organization. I knew about that. I didn't have to have that. I said, Doc, I don't have no PhD. Hell, I don't even know what the damn thing is. At that time, I didn't. I knew it was some certificate or something, but I didn't know exactly what it was, what you had to do to get it. I said, no, Doc, I don't have one. But he was thinking, the stuff you're talking, you have to have a PhD to understand that structure and organization. Anyway, long story short, we learned about Africa. Then we want to help the movement even more than we was already doing. When we go to South America, forget about Europe, Scandinavia, we learn a lot there too. One of the biggest things is how good real Danish pastry is. You know, when you stay up all night and the bakeries open up at 4 or 5 in the morning, and I'm not talking about this stuff here. This is not Danish pastry. I don't care what you call it. But the Danish pastries in Denmark, good God Almighty, you had to control yourself. No, because you'd just be fat as a house. You know what I mean? But anyway, and the big bakeries right there on what we used to call, excuse me, like Pussy Ali, you know, a lot of the pimps, they hung right out on because there was a lot of that stuff going on in Denmark. You may not know it, but anyway, so you start acquiring knowledge which is more universal. In Colombia, I'm gonna just skip to Colombia. Colombia and Mexico, we started, you know, I guess the first and last African-American cartel for smuggling cocaine. We actually did it. And but we knew something by then. I knew everywhere I went. When I was in Denmark, there was a police here from Oakland. It was the same guy that called me on the phone on my birthday, and I haven't seen him since 1971. And he called me on the phone. Yeah, remember me? I said, yeah, we traveled. Your parents was one was in the Army, well, was in the Air Force. We stayed on the base down in Mannheim, Kaiserslautern, K-Town they used to call it. So I remember it all very well. And he started mumbling off some places. He wasn't pronouncing Bucaramanga, which would be really Bucaramanga down in South America. Yeah, I was here and I was there, which he wasn't there. I guess he sounded like kind of like a wino, you know, on the phone. So actually, you know, when the police have an agent, after they finish with them, they throw them out. And half of them just be. Anyway, long story short, we picked up on everywhere I went. I was already on Boss Man's top of the list for some reason. In other words, somebody was feeding Boss Man information, and that information was saying, keep your eye on this guy. And everywhere I went, whether it was Peru, whether it was Bolivia, whether it was Colombia, and they, first I was just going on my own. So I said, well, let me see. In those days, everybody thought cocaine came from Peru. But I went right to Peru, and they said, if you want a better price, you have to go next door